Thank you for listening to the South Dakota Network, a service of South Dakota Public Broadcasting. Links to live events and their archives are available at sd.net.
Good morning, everybody, and those who are online. Joint appropriations will now come to order. I'd ask everybody please to take their seat and have your phones turned to silent. If you plan on testifying today, please sign in at sdlegislature.gov. Press the people icon next to the agenda and fill out the form, or you can do this directly on your phone by scanning the QR code on the agenda above the podium. If you are testifying and have handouts, please have the pages distribute them to the committee members and lobbyists. Make sure you're wearing your badges and that they're clearly visible. And lastly, a reminder that all testimony and questions are to be addressed through the chair. And at this time, Madam Secretary, would you call the roll?
Senators and Representatives, Ms. Gimmons, excused. Casson. Here. Moore.
Here.
Billhauer.
Here.
Carly, excused.
Here.
Oh, he's here. May.
Here.
Boyda.
Here.
Jorgensen.
Here.
Howard.
Here.
Foster.
Here.
Sharda.
Here.
Mucky.
Here.
Zickmund.
Here.
Colbeck.
Here.
Norstrip.
Here.
Lapke.
Here.
Derby.
Here.
Otten.
Here.
17 present, Mr. Chair, you have a quorum.
We have a quorum, and at this time, Senator Foster, do you have anything for us?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the minutes of March 11th, 2025.
Senator Foster has moved to approve March, which ones were they?
11th?
11th? And it was seconded by Representative Mucky. All those in favor of the approval of the minutes, do you want to go ahead and finish reading it? Yep.
We passed bills amending the 2025 ongoing budget, setting the 2026 ongoing budget, and revising tax levies.
Sounds like a lot of fun. All those in favor of approval, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, the minutes are approved. All right. Don't have any pages, so we'll move on then down to what we're doing today is letters of intent. And might as well just take up 1A, restoration and maintenance of repair of the state capitol, HB 1131, BRH-RA. Comments on that?
Sure.
Representative Casson?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. This one kind of fell to me. This year we passed HB 1131, appropriated $3 million in general funds to restoration, maintenance, and repair of any state capitol building, historic area, or object. I guess I would just point your attention to the third paragraph, kind of the last sentence, which JCJ, and this was what the intent of the bill was. JCA intends for the monies to be allocated for the benefit of the public through the restoration, maintenance, and repair of areas and objects visitors from the public regularly see, with priority given and allocation of money to such areas and objects on the third and fourth floors of the Capitol. And then there's some other language in there, but the main teeth of it is to restore and really try and make better the areas that that the public sees regularly when they do come to visit. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any other comments on HB 1131? Is there anybody out in the audience that would like to make a comment on it? I love shaking heads. All right. Okay, we'll need a motion then to adopt. Senator Howard?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would move to adopt Letter of Intent 1A, Restoration, Maintenance, and Repair of the State Capitol.
Second.
Senator Howard has moved to adopt. It was seconded by Representative Casson. Any other comments on this? No? All right. Madam Secretary, would you call the roll?
Senators and Representatives, Ms. Gimmons, excused. Casson. Aye. Moore.
Aye.
Billhauer. Aye. Carly.
Aye.
May. Aye. Boyda. Aye. Jorgensen.
Aye.
Howard. Aye. Foster. Aye. Sharda.
Aye.
Mucky.
Aye.
Zickmund. Aye. Colbeck.
Aye.
Norstrup.
Aye.
Lapke.
Aye.
Derby.
Aye.
Otten.
Aye.
17 yeas, 1 excused.
All right, with that, 1B has been adopted. I'm going to, 1A? Yeah, that would be the one up above, up 1B. All right, I'm shooting on all cylinders today. At this time, we'll take 1I, Bright Star and Material Infant Mortality, and we'll move that up. Senator or Representative Mucky?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I know I shared this out with the committee this weekend. I appreciate your patience with me in getting this to you. Really what this letter is about is regarding the fact that we had made a shift of funding from general funds to federal funds. And so you'll see in the letter there's a confirmation or a discussion about a cut to the Bright Start program, which is focused on maternal and infant mortality, totaling $300,000. And Secretary Magstad brought to us a plan to increase staffing authority through federal funds, $231,326 for a women's health manager and a newborn screening operations coordinator. What I've asked or drafted in this LOI, knowing that the department that provides that funding is under a bit of shifting around of funding, just confirming for us if there's any disruption of federal expenditure authority for some reason for that program to notify us immediately. Asking for information before the November meeting on available infant mortality data and maternal mortality data for South Dakota, surrounding states, and then tribal nations, so we can get better information on what programs are being offered. I know that Secretary Magstad as well, in my conversations with her, there is a maternal health task force that's been created as well, so asking for that data to be shared with us in addition. And then addressing some data questions. I know when we had the Department of Health budget briefing, they shared the infant and maternal mortality data. There was a massive increase, but there was also a discussion about changes of reporting of data, so asking for that information to be shared with us as well. And so really the goal of this LOI is just to make sure we're notified if there's a change of federal funding that would disrupt us actually dealing with our maternal infant mortality rates, which are some of the highest in the region. So that's the ask for this letter of intent. Happy to answer any questions.
Any comments from anybody out in the seats? Senator Howard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have concerns with the first paragraph on the second page. I wish it was reworded a little bit differently. The way it's worded now, it's essentially saying, to me, if the federal funds were to go away, tell us how you will preserve this program, wherein maybe it needs to be eliminated if the federal funds go away. So I'm not saying that's a case, but I'm saying I don't want to force the agency into coming up with options that may not be there. And so I just prefer that maybe just be reworded. They have to notify the chairs of the joint committee and present options for action. And then that covers all bases. I understand the point and I agree,
Yep.
it's,
Representative Markey.
I'm open to the amendment.
Okay. Do you have,
so Mr. Chair, I would move that we just amend the first paragraph on the second page to say after they notify the co-chairs of the joint committee and present options for action, period.
I'll second that.
Senator Casson, or Representative Casson?
As we're making amendments, the good senator to my right just pointed out that this is the 2020 legislative session letter of intent, May 27th, 2020. So perhaps we update that as well while we're making language changes. So.
Okay, it is all online. Yep, you want to reread what we're changing? Senator Howard, was that acceptable on what you've got? We've got to change now online. It's on the screen. We're good? Okay. All right, so we had a motion.
That'll change when we send it out.
The approved version will be correct.
Okay. All right, on that amendment then, do we have we had a motion by Senator Howard. It was seconded by Representative Mucky. All those in favor of approval of the adoption of that new amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, it stands amended now. Any other comments on this? All right. Representative Mucky.
Move to adopt legislative letter intent 1I for Bright Start.
Representative Mucky has moved to adopt. It was seconded by Senator Howard. Madam Secretary, you call the roll.
Senators and Representatives, Ms. Gimmons, excused. Casson. Moore. Billhauer. Carly.
Aye.
May.
Aye.
Boyda. Jorgensen. Howard. Foster. Sharda.
Aye.
Mucky. Zickmund. Colbeck.
Aye.
Norstrup. Lapke. Derby.
Aye.
Otten.
Aye.
17 yeas, 1 excused.
All right, it's on. All right. 1B, Victim Service Grants, HB 1221. Who had that? Representative Casson? No?
Mr. Chair, could we perhaps move this down in the calendar?
We can?
Thank you.
For
We've got
what?
an amendment on that, so.
Okay, so we'll move into 1D.
We haven't done one C yet.
All right. So we're moving to D as a dog.
Or E, do E, move it to E.
All right, with that, then I want to bring up Carr and those guys.
We can do one
C, all right. Okay, we're gonna now go to 1C, State Operation Emergency Communications, BIT and DPS.
Mr. Chairman,
Representative Derby.
thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is titled State Operated Emergency Communications, and the third paragraph in regards to this. This was a joint effort between myself and Julie Overgard from South Dakota Public Broadcasting. And this is a follow-up to our work groups that we heard. I think this session we did hear that majority of the general funds that go to South Dakota Public Broadcasting are utilized for their emergency alert system. And what we wanted to do was define if there's opportunities that we could look at. So for our listening audience, the paragraph reads, several state agencies currently share responsibility for managing public safety and emergency alert messaging. Ultimately, the State Broadcasters Association submits a plan for approval to the Federal Communications Commission regarding the emergency alert system. The state entities jointly responsible for parts of emergency messaging include the Department of Public Safety and the Bureau of Information and Telecommunications. Within BIT, South Dakota Public Broadcasting and State Radio Communications both operate and maintain the public safety communications structure. Given that the broadcast licenses currently held by South Dakota Public Broadcasting cannot be transferred, please submit to the Joint Committee on Appropriations by November 25th a report describing potential efficiencies and cost savings that might be possible through organization restructuring or consolidation. Stand by for questions, and if there's anyone in the audience? Mr. Chairman, I would move approval of letter of intent 1C, state-operated emergency communications.
Representative Derby has moved 1C. It has been seconded by Representative May. Madam Secretary?
Senators and Representatives, Ms. Gimmons, excused. Casson. Moore. Billhauer. Carly.
Aye.
May. Voida. Jorgensen. Howard. Foster. Sharda.
Aye.
Mucky. Zickmund. Colbeck.
Aye.
Norstrup. Lapke. Derby.
Aye.
And Otten.
Aye.
17 yeas, 1 excused.
So 1C has been adopted. Are we ready for 1B then?
I don't know if this is the appropriate time. Mr. Chair, wondering if we can defer this one. We want to double check and make sure that any amendment we do to this doesn't create a hardship to those who are receiving the grants or unnecessary paperwork.
Mr. Chair, we're on 1D now.
We were at 1B.
Did you say 1B or D?
We're talking about Bravo right now, deferring Bravo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Representative Colbeck?
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. This letter of intent regarding community support providers, services, and individuals served in appropriations this year. We appropriated an extra $1 million to go to the Choices Waivers Program that was in the bill. And what this letter of intent is just requesting from the Department of Human Services, which I worked closely with Secretary Rechtenbaugh on, to answer some questions in our November meeting as to the CSP services that are currently provided but are not required by the federal government. CSP services currently provided that are required by unfunded federal mandates. And DHS will provide a breakdown of funding provided to each CSP for each of the 5 previous fiscal years. And I'm not going to read all of them, but because it's online. But basically what it'll do is it'll report back to our committee that the CSP choices services, residential services for each CSP over the past fiscal 5 years. So we get some kind of an idea as to what direction that we are moving forward with this money, extra money, and the help that these agencies are providing, and any issues that may come forward. So they will report back in November, and I just ask for your support. Thank you.
Representative Colbeck has moved 1D. It was seconded by Senator Howard. Any other comments?
Comments from the audience?
Any comments from the audience? All right. Madam Secretary.
Senators and Representatives, Ms. Skimmons, excused. Casson? Moore?
Aye.
Billhauer?
Aye.
Carly?
Aye.
May? Voida? Jorgensen? Howard? Foster?
Aye.
Sharda?
Aye.
Mucky? Zickman? Colbeck?
Aye.
Norstrup? Lapke? Derby?
Aye.
Auden.
Aye.
17 yeas, 1 excused.
We're going to end up going to 1E next, but before we do, I'm going to break protocol just because I love breaking protocol. Who did you want?
I'd like to see May and Howard and you and Derby.
Okay. We're going to do a quick recess and maybe 5 minutes, and then we'll come back in and we'll kick this thing off to bring everybody up online on what's going on.
Thank you for listening to the South Dakota Network, a service of South Dakota Public Broadcasting. Links to live events and their archives are available at sd.net. You are listening to South Dakota Public Broadcasting's live webcast service on the South Dakota Network. More information at sd.net.
Pop us in.
Good morning, Chair, members of the Joint Committee Appropriations. My name is Chris Carr.
Hang on a second, Senator.
Mr. Chair, we would like to circle back very quickly and do item 1B. We do have the amendment drafted, and if we could do that real quick before we finish into the next item. Representative Jorgensen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We just had an amendment on 1B, and it was to get feedback as far as how many victims were served. That has actually been added now, and all parties have been had an opportunity to look at it, and they don't have any issue with it. So,
Mr. Chair, we probably need to have a motion on the amendment, and then we'll vote on the amendment. And
Yep.
Do you have a copy of the amendment?
can staff read the amendment, please?
Mr. Chair, I move to adopt the amendment to 1B.
Okay, Representative Derby has moved to amend 1B. It was seconded by Representative Jorgensen. Any further comments on that? Just what's on there? Okay, all those in favor of amending 1B, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It stands amended. All right, we'll move on then to the amended version of 1B, Victim Service Grants. Representative Casson?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll just, since my name's on this, I'll briefly kind of explain what this is. HB 1221 appropriated $5 million from the general fund to DPS for essentially what we refer to as VOCA funding, Victims of Crime Advocates. As you can see, the letter details who, what organizations are eligible for the money across the state, and just want to highlight that the money this year is going to DPS. Last year it went to a different governmental agency, but this year is going to DPS. So this is part of one of those where we aren't receiving the federal funds that we have in the past. These are very important programs in our communities, and something I think we something we should be proud of. And I think the letter of intent lays out exactly the information we should be getting back from both the agency and from the provider. So really good. I think this is a really good letter of intent. Thank you.
All righty. With that, we do have it amended. Don't see any other comments. Madam Secretary, would you call the roll?
We gotta move it in a second.
Mr. Chair, I move to adopt.
1B.
Second.
Representative. Am I good? All right. Senator Voda has moved to adopt. It was seconded by Representative May. Madam Secretary, would you call the roll?
Senators and Representatives, Ms. Gimmons is excused. Casson. Moore. Billhauer. Carly.
Aye.
May. Voida. Jorgensen. Howard. Foster. Charda.
Aye.
Mucky. Zickmund. Colbeck.
Aye.
Norstrup. Lapke. Derby.
Aye.
Otten.
Aye.
17 yeas, 1 excused.
1B has been adopted. All right, now we'll go back to it would be Mr. Pro Tem. And this will bring the entire committee up on where we're at. We won't be dealing with anything else today, but I just wanted to get everybody up running on the same page. Mr.
All
Pro
right.
Tem.
Well, good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Chris Carr, District 11 Senator. Want to talk to you about the General Appropriations Act and how it's structured, how we put information in there. And this has been an ongoing process. Since about 6 years ago, the Joint Committee on Appropriations created a work group to look at the structure of the G-bill, addressing intent in the G-bill. If you look at other states and how they build their G-bill, most of them don't put together a G-bill like what we have. It looks like basically an Excel spreadsheet with a bunch of numbers. There's more information indicated in that G-bill, whether it's intent, whether it's a description, etc. There have been several recommendations that came out of those work groups the last few years looking at that. I worked on and provided you a couple of examples just to tell you just give you an idea of what we're talking about. I give you a handout that looks like this, and this would break out the G-bill by program so you can see where the dollars are actually getting appropriated, where you guys have approved, the legislature has approved spending, and on FTEs. Another example was this sheet here, and this uses our motion sheets to provide intent in the G-bill. So you can see it's for the Department of Corrections. Not only does it break out what the increases in the G-bill for the year would be, it provides what is in the base amount, the FTEs, and then it provides, in some cases, a small description. For example, legal expenses for DOC passed in HB 1039, an increase in $250,000 in general funds. Why this is important? It's important for several reasons. Transparency, also to communicate, and for others, whether it's the public, current legislators or future legislators, to digest what happened in appropriations, what happened during session, where dollars were allocated, appropriated, the intent of where we're spending our money. That's why we're talking about this, and that's why other states do this too. It's about just good government and oversight. So where we've come with this, we were ready to implement some of these ideas. And visiting with the executive branch, we came to an agreement to work on this over the interim with Joint Committee Appropriations and myself. And this is I'm going to throw out a blueprint that was proposed by the executive branch, who will come and speak to you next. They proposed step 1 to work with fiscal staff, the government, or governor's budget staff to review the current format, identify structural issues, address unclear language or redundancies, define goals for a new layout, making sure those goals align with requirements and best practices. To establish a logical order, a grouping by account, examples, budget units, funding sources. Ensure consistent formatting and appropriations descriptions. Develop clear, uniform terminology, legislative intent, and other legislative requirements, and to avoid language that could cause misinterpretation. That's important, because we all want to be talking about the same things. When we look at this G-bill and where dollars should be spent, we all want to know and be on the same page to go, yep, it's really clear where these dollars were supposed to go. So there's no misappropriation of dollars and funds. And then some of the last steps that were proposed by BFM and the executive branch, legislative fiscal staff, the governor's budget, which will share the draft format with the joint committee for input, adjust based on feedback, and to address the operational needs of the state. Apply the new format to the recent general appropriations bill to evaluate effectiveness before implementation, and receive final approval for the governor and the Committee of Appropriations. So we're talking about something that's really important here, overhauling the layout, the structure, and what goes into that G-bill. So it indicates, again, specific intent and use of dollars that go through this process. All those motion sheets that you guys vet and discuss and vote on, to have them broke out versus just be this big lump sum of dollars that nobody knows and is rather ambiguous on how they can be used. With that, I will just say that there are a few ideas that I think can come out of this, and we can further clarify what's the best format. We got to figure out what the format is before I think you address 1E, which I think is maybe going to be a part of this conversation, but we can't break out the base budget. How would we break it out if we don't know what the layout and the format of the G-bill would look like? So I would ask that we embrace this idea, propose that this go into a letter of intent, what I just laid out, for you to take up at your next meeting, so that everybody's on the same page, we have a timeline, the executive branch is on the same page, we can create a new layout for the G-bill that includes that language that's clear, that provides intent, and from there, if you feel that you need to further break out the base, you have that other letter of intent to do so. I'll stand by for questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pro Tem. Mr. Good morning, and go ahead.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. My name is Stephen Kohler with the Bureau of Finance and Management. I really do appreciate the President Pro Tem's comments and his desire to work through a process so that legislators are able to have the information needed in order to make the decisions that you are sent here to make. It is important that as we go through this process that we're very strategic in how we do this. I think that throughout the process, we're going to hopefully identify information that's already out there. In fact, just today I was looking at some of the information. It's literally thousands of pages of paper documents that your LRC fiscal staff have access to in terms of narrative and information that, quite frankly, obviously doesn't ultimately get, it's either not in a digestible format for you to read, or it's just too much information to be read. So we're trying to strike this balance between what is informative and what is helpful in making decisions. The one thing that we have to be careful on is hopefully we would never get to a place where we have a general appropriations bill where you have to say, let's pass it to see what's in it. Right? We don't want a 1,000-page general appropriations bill that you can't read anyways on the last day of session in order to pass. And we need to make sure that the information that we have doesn't result in excess bureaucracy to create reports, to generate information, right? The goal would be to have a concise yet explainable general bill and information for agencies to report back to this committee so that there is an accountability as well as an informed conversation about what we're spending funding on and what we're doing. I do think there's a lot of information that's out there already, and I think that as part of this process, we'll not only have a good general appropriations format at the end of this process, but I think we'll also be able to dive into the details that are out there today and maybe how we can restate them or how we can show them so that it is more useful for this committee and this process. I am, hopefully the prime sponsor, or the President Pro Tem shares this. I don't want to grow government by the result of this, but I do want to make sure that you have the information in order to make the hard decisions and the decisions you have to make in order to further South Dakota and the great things that we do in this state from a financial side. So I support the idea of this letter of intent, and hopefully over the next couple weeks, we can get together and have a concrete plan on how best to do that. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll stand by if there are any questions.
We'll do 5 minutes of questions, Representative Colbeck.
I got a question for Mr. Kohler, Mr. Chair. This information that we received, like here today, is that available to us at any point in time when we're on the Appropriations Committee here and we need information such as this to make a decision on the G-bill or on the budgets that we're creating? Is that Is that available today to this committee?
Yep. Mr. Chair, again, Stephen Kohler, yes, that data every day gets uploaded. So if there happens to be any changes, obviously, once the governor's budget is set, there aren't any changes that happen in that time period. But that narrative, that data, the appropriations, so today we budget based off of general, federal, other, and personal services and operating expenses. The data that I was speaking to you goes further into programs, goes further into not just operating expenses, but it goes into what we call objects and even further sub-objects. So if you want to know how much travel is for auto state-owned vehicles versus commercial vehicles that maybe we have to rent, there's budgets for that. Again, if we were to track at that level and appropriate at that level, the good representative who had to speak out loud all of the numbers on the G-bill would be here for, I'm not kidding, days, because it would be a labor-intensive process. I think what we want to try to do is make sure you have that information, but if there's a better way to do it, Senator or Representative, on showing that or sharing that in a better digestible format, we would like to talk about that.
All right. Comment.
That question a little bit from Representative Colbeck. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Chris Carr, District 11. So I can't agree more with the things that Mr. Kohler had just said regarding there's a balance here. Do we want to have a 10,000-page G-bill? We do not. We don't need all of the data that's in the accounting system, because that would be not very helpful for us to digest that information. We wouldn't know what's necessarily in the G-bill, et cetera. It'd be very daunting. At the same time, when you just use a summarized bucket of money, it also doesn't provide any clarity to individuals on what the dollars can be used for, or should be used for, and that's the problem we ran into several years. So let me take and give you a different example. Let's take a policy bill. Let's say we're going to address prison reform, okay, and we all meet, 18 of us, very smart people, about prison reform all session long, and we come up with all these ideas for prison reform in great detail and structure, and we lay them out, and we say, here's how we're gonna do this, down to the FTEs and locations and all these things, and then at the end, we draft a policy bill. It just says, hey, we're gonna address prison reform. Okay, it's not very helpful. And that's kind of what we do now with our G-bill. You go through all this detail, you take all that information, you go through the motion sheet process, and you're taking all that very specific appropriation and intent, and then you're just putting it in a big old bucket of money and saying, well, here's your bag of money. Please spend it the best you can on kind of what we talked about, and we hope you do that. So there's somewhere in between the 10,000 pages of information and a big old lump sum bucket of money where there's some intent and direction provided, where folks know out there in the public, where legislators know what the intent was for those dollars and what we're funding. Thank you.
Okay. So do we have that, I'll call it now a letter of intent? Does LRC have that so that we can have that?
Mr. Chair, no. What I'm going to do and what I read as this kind of outline of a plan to review the General Appropriations Act with this committee through the interim, utilizing some of your meetings, so everybody's part of this process, is put together a letter of intent for you to consider at your next meeting to approve with this laid out a structure and agenda. So that way everybody's on the same page.
Okay, for our May meeting.
Does that make sense?
Perfect. Everybody on the same page and we're kind of nodding in the same direction? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, with that, we will defer everything to May. And with that, because we have to have another discussion, but it can't be online. Representative May, do you have maybe a suggestion for us?
Mr. Chair, I move we adjourn.
All right, Representative May moved to adjourn. It has been seconded by Representative Casson. All those in favor of adjournment, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? We are adjourned. All right, everybody just stay where you're at, and we will move on then to
Thank you for listening to the South Dakota Network, a service of South Dakota Public Broadcasting. Links to live events and their archives are available at sd.net. You are listening to South Dakota Public Broadcasting's live webcast service on the South Dakota Network. More information at sd.net. Thank you for listening to the South Dakota Network, a service of SDPB. Links to live events and their archives are available at sd.net.